Welcome to Alzheimer's Sunrise, lighting the way for patients and caregivers on Legends 100.3, brought to you by Alzheimer's Community Care, providing help and hope for thousands of families for the past 20 years. Here's Mary Barnes, CEO of Alzheimer's Community Care.
Welcome to Alzheimer's Sunrise, shining a light on patients and caregivers on Legends Radio 100.3 FM. You can call Alzheimer's Community Care at 561-683-2700, or after you listen to our discussion, you can also email us at info@alzcare.org. And if you call or email, please tell us that you heard us on Legend Radio. And now I want to talk to my cohort in crime and whatever else trouble we can get into, Karen Gilbert.
Good morning.
And how are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, we have a special guest, and his name is Bill West, and he has a very special story to tell us about a place, and a very enchanting place called Molly's House.
Good morning, Mary.
Morning.
Thanks for having me here.
And I just love the butterfly garden. I have to tell you, it's just so serene. And, you know, where Molly's house is positioned is right next to the ocean, right in where all the busyness and everything and exciting, places to shop and places to eat.
It's pretty neat town,
It's
downtown
pretty
Stewart.
neat. And it's just like, but it's also a special place for our caregivers.
It is. Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So we like to treat your caregivers, primarily Molly's House. It's Polly, our development director, likes to call it a Ronald McDonald House on steroids.
There you go.
I say we're a case study of Ronald McDonald Houses because Molly was a young lady. She was 12 years old when she was diagnosed with leukemia and spent the next 6 years looking for a cure, trying to cure the leukemia. And a lot of that time she spent in Ronald McDonald Houses. So she saw what she liked, what she didn't like, and picked out the colors, wanted porches on the house and the spiral staircase that she loved at the Ronald McDonald House, but she wanted to make it open to everybody. So that's where we're able to do what we're able to do with your patients and your families, with the caregivers, is to bring in someone who's not pediatric related, someone, the need is there for everybody in our community. The need isn't just pediatric, but especially for caregivers to be open to caregivers was something Molly wanted to see, to be open to seniors.
The other neat thing about this, Karen, and of course you saw it as well,
I did,
is that each room, and how is it, 12 rooms or 14 rooms? Each one is has a theme, uniquely designed, and how local designers, interior designers, have wanted to put their stamp of involvement in it. And it's just, every room is just so special. It's just so special.
It's usually a competitive business. And to have all these typically ladies come in that are usually competitors, and we had 14 rooms and 14 interior designers, and they're all in at one time with their screwdrivers and whatever, and making the place beautiful. It's a little bit of elbow grease for them. It's stuff they have around, and it absolutely, each room is very, very different. That's part of each room has a character. Yes.
Yep.
And then you feed that into the garden and the way it is downstairs and everything. It's just a very hopeful, peaceful type place.
and you feel that as soon as you walk in. I had the privilege of having a workshop with several caregivers several months ago for about 4 hours or so in the library.
A marathon.
Wonderful, wonderful experience. And Bill, you serve as CEO
of
Molly's House. Would love to hear a little bit of history as to how you got there.
Okay, so CEO should be Chief Encouragement Officer. But,
there you go.
So my journey to Molly's House, everything around Molly's House, it's how do you do grief right? So Molly's House, having this journey, losing this young lady, but having this family and having this anchor of Molly's House in our community for this family is very, very special. Started off very difficult, became something beautiful and special. And that's kind of where my story here starts. 10 years ago, this is a mile marker year for me. But in 2005, my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. So we spent the next several years searching for our own cure and traveling. As I started to make plans to travel, I started looking at, we were going to have to go to New York City. And it's $350 a night for a hotel that's okay. So are there options? Working with the hospital, working with the case manager at the hospital, we found that there was a very similar healthcare hospitality house to Molly's House that was next to Sloan Kettering, that was very close by. So it was safe, it was secure, and it was only $75 a night. So I'm going in my logical brain, this is the place for us to be. You get there, though, and it's the volunteers, it's someone at the front desk can give you a hug, it's the other guests who are going through the similar problems, and it's love. and that wasn't in my equation, but that was a big part. That's what I truly, really remember about that stay in New York City. So we lost Onya in 2008, so that's where my 10 years kind of comes in. But so
I remember I was at a statewide meeting, and I went. It was a Chamber of Commerce meeting, and the guest speaker that day was Frank Brogan.
Oh, yes.
And he had his precious wife Mary with her.
Mm-hmm.
And she was wearing a hat because she was going through chemo and cancer. And I happened to mention, because I knew it was Mary's favorite charity, or favorite, that Molly's House. And so I stood up and I said that, there's so many unique things in so many of our communities and in Stewart, and I happened to mention Molly's House.
Yes.
Now, I had sitting next to me, of course, Frank was lieutenant governor at the time, and I happened to have one of the bodyguards there sitting next to me. And so he was through speaking, and they had their lunch, and he was walking out, and all of a sudden I had this very big smiling person with a beautiful face. She had a beautiful face and a big smile. And she came over to me, and she gave me a hug, and she says, I love Molly's House, too.
That's wonderful.
It's a very special.
I never met Mary. Frank is a very, very special
Yes.
guy, and I'm sure Mary was as well.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Neat story. Thank you.
This is Alzheimer's Sunrise, shining a light on patients and caregivers on Legends Radio, 100.3 FM. You can call us at Alzheimer's Community Care at 561-683-2700. You can send questions or comments by email to info@alzcare.org, ALZCARE.org. And by the way, that's our website as well, alzcare.org. Tremendous amount of information. And you can listen to any of the programs we've recorded right there through our website. So, Bill, tell us a little bit more about the age of the house and how it morphed into this amazing retreat for caregivers, and it just nestled right there in downtown Stewart.
Sure. The house is 21 years old. There's videos of Molly. So Molly was the first bone marrow transplant patient that Blue Cross and Blue Shield paid for. So there was a lot of press around her and her illness. So there's a lot of video, and in those videos she starts describing her vision of Molly's house. And it is really amazing. It's not a transition. It is what we're doing today is literally what this young lady wanted to see us do.
And I had not realized that was the origin. I thought it had been converted over actually from a private home.
Yes.
Initially. So what a gift.
It is.
She has left the community.
It is. She left a gift for the community, and then the community gave her a gift right back. Because to have Molly's house, I mean, it's 3 stories, 11,000 square feet, where we are in downtown Stewart, between the hospital and downtown. This is a place where people come from all around the world to go on vacation. To have these, it's a half a city block, but in this amazing location with these beautiful grounds and a beautiful building on it, and it was quite a vision.
I mean, it still is a part of the vision for people who do come and have to be with a loved one that's terminally ill, and the room there where others. And I do think our caregivers that do spend the time and helping and being a part of that lifestyle as well, and helping families that they're going through their own.
They do.
It's got to be a kind of I often say that our organization has a star over us, and I do believe that because we've gone. But I also feel part of that star is over you too, because I just feel that this bond that because I admire very much what you do in your mission, and I know you admire ours.
Absolutely,
and
incredible.
It's just
very special.
And it's another example of how it takes all of us working together to care for these families. We have a patient affected with Alzheimer's or a related disorder, but then we have the caregiver and the family around them. And we know that we have to care for both. If we're going to have a family that stays together through the duration of a very difficult disease, we have to provide care to both. And Molly's House has been an incredible part of that for a number of our families, and we want even more to know about that. Can you tell us how Molly's House accommodates our caregivers?
Sure, absolutely. We love to accommodate your caregiver. So there's a great, it's a neat breakfast time around Molly's House. It's kind of a neat time. You get there early and you go up for a cup of coffee, and you get chit-chatting. So you get the normal patient resident stay guests and then some of the caregiver respites and just the social bonds and everything that form between them. But the caregivers, it's so critically important that they get a little escape. They're in this, I call it a pressure cooker. It's 24/7. You're not appreciated for what you're doing. Sometimes it feels like quite the opposite than appreciation that you're getting in there. But you're there because you love them. Mm-hmm. You want to be there. You need to be there. It's the right place for you. But you have to take care of yourself.
Yes.
You have to have you have to have that release valve. You have to have some kind of that pressure to come off a little bit. And that's what we try to do. So we bring caregivers in for 4 days and 3 nights into Molly's house, into this downtown destination. The city of Stewart has a tram that'll come around and pick up our guests. It's I'm talking about steroids. It's Uber on steroids. It's quicker than any Uber could ever get there, and they will take you wherever you want to kind of go downtown. They have a route, but they will take you. They take our guests off the route. They'll take them to physical therapy or whatever. But the restaurants, the coffee shops, the hospital, and everything is on this tram route.
But there's some caregivers that I know of that, like a daughter, and I don't think you see her for 2 days. She just gets in her room and sleeps.
You definitely see that.
And sleeps.
Yes.
And then she's ready to face the world after those 2 days and 2 nights of just being able to just not have to worry about the different, safety issues, and that she's just totally relieved. And having that home health agency to go into the home as part of the grant is such a blessing for our family
So the
members.
grant that Molly's House has can provide care for the loved one. Tell us a little bit about that.
Professional caregiver to go out to take the caregiver, the family caregiver's place at the home. So we send a family, it's one of our local healthcare organizations, and we send them out typically they do a review. They have an interview process with the caregiver beforehand, so they know what the patient's needs are, what level of care that patient needs, so they're sending the proper care out for them. And then they go to the home, so the patient's able to stay where they're comfortable. And they really a lot of times they really appreciate having a fresh face around.
Well, we've had patients say that they need a break from the caregiver. So we'll take a break. We'll be back in just a moment. This is Alzheimer's Sunrise, shining a light on patients and caregivers on Legends Radio 100.3 FM. You can call us at Alzheimer's Community Care at 561-683-2700. You can send questions or comments to us by email at info@alzcare.org. Again, info@alzcare.org, ALZCARE.org. And that is our website as well.
Facing a terminal illness can put you and your family through a range of emotions. You may not know what to do, but you do know that you need help. The hospice services of TrustBridge are here to help. Hospice will provide physical and emotional support, as well as delivering medications and any needed medical equipment. In most cases, your loved one can receive hospice care in the comfort of their home, and their care will be fully covered by Medicare or most private insurance policies. Ask your doctor to tell you more about hospice care from TrustBridge and visit www.trustbridge.com.
The first person to survive Alzheimer's disease is out there. They're going to hold on to everything the disease steals away. And the Alzheimer's Association is going to make it happen by funding research, advancing public policy, and spurring scientific breakthroughs. And by providing local support to those living with the disease and their caregivers, we're easing the burden until we accomplish our goal. But we won't get there without you. Visit alz.org to join the fight.
Welcome back to Alzheimer's Sunrise, shining a light on patients and caregivers on Legends Radio 100.3. And we've been talking about the amazing opportunity for caregivers at Molly's House, 4 days, 3 nights, with a professional caregiver placed in the home to take care of the loved one.
Yes.
And I know when we tell families about Molly's House, and that comes up quite a bit, we tell them that what they do for those 4 days and 3 nights is totally up to them. Some of them do want to get out, go to the beach, go shopping. Others may just need the rest. Tell us about some of the feedback you've had.
Sure, they can do something or nothing. I think it's important to get the rest. I think that's the important piece of what you just said. But they can do something or nothing. We try to make sure that they have lots of opportunities, lots of things to do. So we treat them. We pamper them. We tend to get them a massage, get their hairs done, get their nails done. Maybe tickets to the Lyric or some other outing type event. We have, I'm thinking of 2 different very recent caregivers, and one was a lady who had been caring for I think it was her husband. It was her mother, and she's like, "Wow, this is the first time I haven't been able to read a chapter in a few years. It's been years since I've been able to sit down and read a chapter in a book. And I sat outside on the porch, and it was raining, and I read a whole book today. So it's just that's what I needed." A few weeks ago, though, we had another couple, a brother and a sister that were taking care of their mother, and we got them a little bit. Well, they're younger and very active and wanted to be doing a lot of things, so there was a lot more activity that we did for them. Got them a ride on Schooner Lily and different. Got them a massage. The hair and the nails wasn't right for the guy.
and you got puzzles set up where people can do
Sure.
a puzzle,
Yes.
and people. And I know you've got a nice library of in there with
Yes.
the books that people can take and look at. I mean, they don't have to have all the books themselves. You can go right into your library.
We have a very full collection
And
library.
just sitting outside there and just listening to the birds and just seeing the butterflies flying around.
And not being responsible for someone else's welfare
Right. You
for
have to
that
relax.
period of time, and knowing that they're well cared for. So I'm imagining that on any given weekend or 4-day stretch, you may have caregivers of different age patients. You may have a caregiver for someone that's in the hospital. So how do those caregivers interact when they're caring for patients of different needs?
Sure. It's, I think people react the way people interact, but most of the patients, the family caregivers, they're not in that stressful situation. So it's a very, very different level of stress where the family caregivers are in that permanent environment that there's no relief in sight, there's no end in sight, and you need to pull them out and love on them.
And that is a different dynamic
Yes.
from someone who might be with a family member who's in the hospital temporarily
Yes.
and something's occurred.
And they're intently trying to get to their family member, so that's a short-term type situation.
Right.
And they're trying to, but still, the interaction between the guests and it's people and humans, and it's
I sense
said,
a lot of
it's
therapeutic.
really needed breakfast.
Yes.
A lot of therapeutic
There is.
interaction.
Well, you've got
going
3
on.
floors,
We do.
and on each floor you have a kitchen and
On
a place
two
for
of the
2 of the
floor- well,
floors.
yes.
Okay, the second floor and the third floor. Of course, you do have a elevator, so you don't
very
need to
easy to
walk
get,
up.
yes, no.
Up and down.
No.
But it almost sounds too good to be true. Yeah, until you go through it and just having a chance. And I do know you ask for a modest donation if they can afford it.
Not for the caregivers.
Not for the
We
caregivers.
do not ask for if for the patients and families. We ask for $30 a night, as you said, if they can afford it. If they can't, we are there for them, and that's part of Molly's vision as well.
That's
So,
wonderful. That's wonderful. But it's just I happened to be going through as a tour, and there was on the second floor there was some family members there, and just the intimacy of having that cup of tea and just the kitchen, and it's so. I mean, it's so, and there was a couple there that was really enjoying all that hominess and everything, and it was just a very, very pleasant environment.
Yeah, but there's unique opportunities for us as well, though, and
Yes.
that's where we're boosting up our services, what we can provide, because not everybody's going to open up to you, but some of these people will open up to you, and sometimes you find out needs and sometimes they're really big needs, and there's community as we collaborate.
Yep.
We try to collaborate with the other organizations around
Right,
town,
right.
and nobody's in a better situation to know who those other organizations are than us. You and I,
Yep.
we interact
Right.
with them constantly. So what we can do to connect our guests to that, this is totally not a caregiver story, but we had a gentleman had a heartbreaking story. Family, husband and wife, were traveling from Ohio to Key West. They'd been married for 20 plus years, had finally figured out how to afford, and this was even a very budget honeymoon, figured out how to afford it, and he had a heart attack on the turnpike while he's driving the car.
Wow.
So we were able to, obviously she was distraught. She was very open to sharing her story. We were able to connect her to somebody who was in medical billing who negotiated that bill from almost $500,000 down to almost nothing, and then was able to get that written off for them. So and sometimes it's connection to a resource like you. Sometimes it's connection to Habitat. There's all kinds of resources that we need that are available for our guests.
When people really discover there's a true, sincere, genuine situation, people really do band together.
True.
Yeah, I really, I know our society, we have so many other, mistrust or do they really care? But there are those moments
Yes.
that people do care, and they do come through.
Yes.
We see it all the time.
This is Alzheimer's Sunrise, shining a light on patients and caregivers on Legends Radio 100.3 FM. You can call us at Alzheimer's Community Care at 561-683-2828. 2700, or send us an email to info@alzcare.org, ALZCARE.org, and that is the same as our website as well. If you call or email, please tell us you heard us on Legends Radio. And I would love for Bill, give us contact information directly to Molly's House.
Sure, Molly's House, mollyshouse.org, or 772-223-6659.
Thank you. Tell us about some of the things you sense as potential barriers. You have this amazing gift to give caregivers, and sometimes we see that they're having trouble grasping it. What do you see as those barriers?
It is a gift, and that's the, as I said, we do not ask for anything. Everything we do is free for the caregivers. We get the donations, the tickets, the massages, and everything are donated from our community. So there's no burden on anyone here. The grant, if I had more caregivers, I am convinced I can come up with as much grant funding as I can come up with caregivers. Getting a caregiver to be willing to take that step away from their loved one has been really difficult, and I think you see it much more than we do, certainly. But that break is so needed, and okay, you have a free program, you have a beautiful location. It's unbelievable. It's probably one of the barriers.
Too good to be true.
It is a little too good to be true, but it is very true.
That's right.
Very much a free gift.
Yep.
But then you have love, I think, is the other. You're using that word a lot today, but love is the other barrier. Love is that bond,
right.
And that bond is extremely strong. And if you're a caregiver, there is nobody who can adequately take care of my patient. There is no one who can take care of that family member the way I can.
That's right. Some feel that no one else will do things the way I do, and we try to convince them that they don't necessarily have to, and that the caregiver desperately needs this break and attention to themselves to be able to remain in that caregiving role and stay healthy themselves.
Yes.
And it's sometimes difficult. Mary, you've been doing this for over 20 years, certainly, convincing caregivers that they have to take care of themselves.
I've had a caregiver come up to me, and he was crying because his granddaughter was getting married. And this is how they go through such torture. And he says, Mary, I can't leave Pat with somebody. He says, I just can't.
To go to the wedding. Oh, my.
And he says, I can't do this. And so I said to him, think about this. You are a father, and you're a grandfather. And you're going to be looking at some pictures of that wedding, and you're not going to be there. Mm-hmm. And I said, you've got to do this not just for yourself, but for your son, because you're still a father.
Yes.
And you're still a grandfather. And he thought about it, and he left. Came up to me at another time, and he said, and he was so happy, and he was smiling. He says, Mary, I had a blast. And he had this care, but to convince, and to have that caregiver believe the fact that there's only so much blood and flesh. And you need to save something for yourself.
You have to. And I don't even think when you're in that situation, when you're in that caregiving situation, you don't realize it's like boiling a frog. It's a trickle.
That's
up.
true.
The load gets heavier and heavier and longer, and you don't know the impact it's having on you.
And having somebody go to Molly's House and have a chance to really kind of become more objective, because you're always so subjective, and to realize that this is what they've got to do, because I don't think you ever realize, and I know I've had the flu several times, and after you get through the flu, I didn't realize I was so sick. And you take so much time to go to the doctor and everything, and that's when you go to Molly's House and you get over that, my God, and they go back and they become a better caregiver.
You can watch that reversal melt away. You literally, over those few days, you watch it just, it's day 2 and it's down, it's day 3 and it's, wow, this is a very different person. They're leaving and there's happy tears and they're going, I'm going to go love my husband. And
yep. Yeah, it just gives them that second, third wind that so often caregivers literally do kill themselves for their loved one. And our job is to try to help them realize that if you do, that person's going to be by themselves. If you don't, go ahead and get this respite. But what a way to do it. What a way to do it. I can't qualify for that, but I'll tell you, in another life I might be. But anyway, it's really a special place. And
it's an incredible resource. And where can families live and come to Molly's house. In other words, they don't have to live in Martin County. Is that right?
Sure. So for the caregiver respite program, most of the nursing companies, nursing registries, nursing associations are typically they're Treasure Coast related. So it's Indian River County down to at least Palm Beach. Some of them will go into Broward, and sometimes we can go further inland or over to the West Coast. But certainly within the Treasure Coast, you're definitely our guests for our patients and family all over the world. A lot of Caribbean, seeing a lot of Caribbean, especially lately, but literally all over the world, all over the United States.
So caregivers from a huge area of South Florida should not hesitate to reach out to Molly's house.
Not at all.
Give us that contact information again, would you?
So my name's Bill West. It is 772-223-6659 is the phone number, or the website. And there's a lot of information there, pictures of the house, videos of Molly, mollyshouse.org.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And of course, you can always get information through Alzheimer's Community Care as well. And you can reach us at 561-683-2700. You can reach us by sending us an email to info@alzcare.org, ALZCARE.org. And if you do call or email, please tell us that you heard us on Legends Radio. Thank you so much, Bill. This Molly's House is such an incredible resource. And I think one of the points you made a little bit ago, South Florida has a tremendous number of community resources. And as you alluded to, it takes all of us.
It does.
So we're all doing our piece to put this safety net around these families. Many times they do not know what's available. Right. But it's amazing what can be accomplished when we all put our heads together.
You have all these amazing facilities that are all over our area.
It's incredible.
You don't even own the facility. Typically, you're working with another association, another community association, something there to provide that care in that area. We're trying to do something. We have a place for your guests, for your caregivers to sleep.
Yep.
And to do some fun.
And to live life again.
Yes.
To find out what it's like. But having resources working together makes us feel that much more blessed.
Oh, absolutely.
Because of being able to bring these resources to our families. And Bill, you're such a kind and nice guy, and we really appreciate you.
Appreciate you as well.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Alzheimer's Sunrise, lighting the way for patients and caregivers. To learn more about the help and hope available from Alzheimer's Community Care, call 561-683-2700 or visit alzcare.org. That's ALZcare.org. Tune in next Sunday at 6:30 for another edition of Alzheimer's Sunrise, lighting the way for patients and caregivers right here on Legends 100.3.